This is the one you've known as Jesus the Christ. Kindness and its correlates, compassion, acceptance, patience, peacefulness, and love, both describe Christ consciousness and are a prescription for Christ consciousness. In other words, how you are when you're in Christ consciousness and what you need to do to experience Christ consciousness, if you aren't experiencing it, are the same. For example, kindness describes Christ consciousness, and behaving kindly or doing whatever brings you into a state of kindness is the instruction or prescription for moving into Christ consciousness. As I said in a previous message, behaving as if you're enlightened can be a bridge to Christ consciousness. Still, it bears mentioning that thinking kind thoughts is not the same as Christ consciousness, nor is thinking kind thoughts a bridge to Christ consciousness, although positive thoughts are better than the opposite and might lead to behaving more kindly, but not necessarily. Thoughts are not bridges to this mysterious realm of your divine self, not even kind or Christ-like thoughts. Good thoughts won't get you to Christ consciousness. To experience your divine self, you must drop out of all thoughts and just be, just experience. Be peace, be compassion, be love, be courage. These are experiences, not attitudes or ways of thinking about yourself, but feeling states. To experience these subtle feeling states, you have to stop thinking, stop referring to your thoughts for how to be, and just be. You may also need to stop all movement, since activity makes tuning into the subtle realm where love and peace reside more difficult. Just stop, be quiet, and experience the love, gentleness, peace, courage, and strength of your divine nature. These are words we give this indescribable mystery that you are, but you must go beyond the words to the experience pointed to by the words. Your divine nature is there to be experienced, but you can't think your way to that experience. Being kindness or being peace or being love is entirely different from thinking of yourself as being kind or peaceful or loving, or trying to be those qualities, which is all the mind can do about this, since it can't take you to your true nature. Being these qualities requires being involved in reality, the here and now, while thinking is being involved in what's not real, what's imaginary. When you are aligned with the kindness or peace or strength of your true nature, there is just the experience of kindness or peace or strength as it's being experienced in your body, as a feeling state, and no sense of I who is having that experience, no mental involvement with a me. On the other hand, when you think kind or peaceful thoughts, or think about being kind or peaceful, that's the false self living in its own reality, thinking thoughts to feel good about itself, imagining a positive self-image for itself. These are two different states of consciousness. When I talk about being kind or being peace or being love, I'm talking about dropping out of personhood and experiencing what is beyond personhood, and letting that determine your speech and actions, without thoughts about yourself. When you drop out of your personhood, your ego, you are naturally kind. In that non-egoic state, it's clear to you that the kindness you're feeling is not yours. Kindness is just naturally happening or showing up in the moment, because space has been made for it, since the ego is no longer in the picture. When this happens, it's obvious that you cannot take credit for being kind, and there is no you that would try to do so. Kindness is just expressing itself through you because you're allowing that to happen. Your ego is no longer in the way. True humility comes from being aligned with this great truth. When you're being your best self, there is, in fact, no self taking credit for it, as goodness is just coming through you. Whenever you get out of the way, what's left is your true nature. Spirituality is not as much about getting to a particular state as it is about stripping away whatever is obscuring your natural state. Your natural state, your divine self, is always here, not out there in some other dimension or somewhere else you have to get to. You don't have to go anywhere to experience who you are. You only have to realize that who you are is already here, but hidden by your thoughts about yourself, the false self. You have all undoubtedly heard this teaching before. It's the classic nondual teaching. Who you are is already here. But let me add something to this that might make this more real for you. Whenever you feel good, happy, loving, content, or at peace, you are experiencing who you really are, if only for a moment. That's how close your true self is. And whenever you're behaving kindly, that's your true self doing that. You already know who you really are. You experience it many times a day, if only briefly. You may expect this experience to be more profound, more earth-shattering, more exciting than this, and the ego certainly wants it to be. But this is all your true self is, this peace, this love, this simple happiness, this contentment, this goodness. Now, if you focus on these feeling states, this experience of your true self, you will sink more deeply into your true self and have a more profound experience of who you are. This sense of happiness, peace, love, and contentment that is your true nature will feel more profound and satisfying than when you touch these feeling states only briefly. You can learn to extend such experiences of your true nature by focusing on the qualities of your true nature when they show up. What you focus on is the subtle, energetic experience of love, kindness, acceptance, peace, strength, or joy in your body. When these moments of experiencing the love, kindness, acceptance, peace, strength, or joy of who you really are show up, the ego tends to rob you of them by discounting or overlooking the experience and then covering it over with its usual commentary du jour. The voice in your head distracts you from the experience of your divine self with some thought. Almost any thought will usually do to pull you back into thinking. The voice in your head doesn't have a very difficult job, because human beings are easily distracted from the simple contentment, love, goodness, happiness, and peace of their true nature. That's just how it is. Once you understand and accept that this is how it is, how you're programmed, then instead of continuing to go along with the egoic programming, you can make another choice. You can choose to stay longer in the simple experience you're having of your true self. If you're able to do that, you'll begin to discover how very satisfying this experience is. Of course, that's what the ego doesn't want you to discover. It has other plans for your attention. It wants your attention focused on desires, complaints, opinions, judgments, resentments, and other distracting and unnecessary thoughts, simply because it doesn't want you getting lost in Christ consciousness. Why is that? Why is there such a dichotomy in the human being, a war of sorts between the human ego and the divine self. It isn't a war, actually, since a war requires two sides at odds, and the divine self is not at odds with the ego. The divine self lets the ego grab your attention. The divine self doesn't fight or argue for your attention, so the ego wins this war every time, until it doesn't, until the divine self's time has come, until it's time to begin to awaken. The drama of the ego stealing the show again and again happens as long as it happens, until one day you are done with it. The divine self is ready to awaken within you, and it begins to assert itself more firmly, more compellingly. Suddenly, you're extremely interested in the truth, freedom, and becoming a living master. It is grace that brings this timing about. Until then, your ego will win out most of the time. Those of you listening to this message are past that point. Your thirst for the truth has already been awakened, or this message would be of no interest to you. At this point, the only path forward is accepting that moment to moment you must choose something other than what your default would choose. You have to become very aware of your default, what it wants to choose, and then you have to choose against that. When your default comes up with a judgment, you choose kindness instead. When it comes up with a complaint, you choose kindness instead. When it comes up with an angry remark, you choose kindness instead. This is the work before you. Even if you don't initially feel kind when you choose kindness, kindness will show up once you choose it. Cultivating kindness is like building a muscle. You have to choose against the path of least resistance until that choice becomes easier and more natural and automatic. The kindness that shows up when you choose to behave kindly is who you really are. The act of choosing kindness is the bridge that takes you to the deeper experience of kindness. You become kindness. Then, how long you stay in kindness depends on how long you continue to focus on the subtle, energetic experience of kindness in your body, rather than be drawn back into thought. The experience of kindness or any other quality of your true nature is a subtle feeling state which you can enhance with your focus. By focusing on this feeling state, you can learn to stay in the flow of kindness and let it take over your actions. This is what I mean by embodying Christ consciousness. If you stay long enough in one of the qualities of your divine nature, such as kindness or peace, you will become your divine self and begin to live as that. You will fall into the flow of Christ consciousness, and Christ consciousness will be your consciousness, and Christ consciousness will work through you. This is the goal. Cultivating kindness or any other quality of your divine nature through your actions will bring you into a state of grace, a state in which you experience the rewards for making the loving choice. Kindness is its own reward. Peace is its own reward. Goodness is its own reward. This becomes obvious once you choose these often enough. In this way, you become who you are meant to be. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being open to this message. I am with you always.